training
that
them.
you just
We all
acknowledge that
see
you
it.
don't know what she was
Do you
referring
think,
to.
I don't. I
do
don't
you
know- I
think
don't know
that
what she's
scooping
talking
up
about.
Yeah.
U.S. citizens without giving them...
I disagree with the generalization that they're scooping up U.S.
There's
citizens.
170 that have been
Well, there's
scooped
over
up.
500,000 illegal aliens that have been
There's
deported.
little children that have been
1.6
scooped up
million have
that are U.S.
self-deported.
citizens.
All right, look.
There is
I know, you don't want the law enforced.
There is
I get it.
video
You
of
don't have to
black
yell at me.
kids.
You don't want the law.
What's going on, friends, family? I'm your host, Terrence Manning. This is My Thoughts Uncut. Today's episode, we're going to talk about Scott Jennings, CNN versus Anna Navarro. They're talking about the ICE recruitments and how the ICE office, well, not ICE officers, but the recruits are not meeting up to standards. This was a good debate. Scott Jennings, of course, torched her. We're going to check it out now.
It's not entirely surprising that that's what's happening as they try to rush these people through the process of getting certified to be on the streets.
Okay, well, in all honesty, I'm athletically allergic. Could not pass the presidential exam when I was in school, could not do a pull-up for a nanosecond. That being said, look, I think this lack of not only the athletic aspect, but also the civics aspect is showing in the interactions we are seeing. There have been at least 170 U.S. citizens that have been detained by ICE. We have seen people get scooped up because they're black in Chicago, U.S. citizen blacks, put into U-Haul trucks, in the back of U-Haul trucks. We have seen teenagers pinned to the ground. We know that there have been more deaths in ICE custody in the last few months than there were in the last 4 years. So, I would hope that even folks who are in favor of deporting everybody, I would hope that there would be some agreement that there needs to be rights, that there needs to be a process, that people need to be allowed to show ID, that they can't just be scooped up in that way and have their rights violated. It's just inhumane what we are seeing in the streets of America.
Or at least that the standards shouldn't be lowered just to meet a quota.
Okay, I just have to respond to this.
So here's the thing, and Abby's not even making sense. This is how you weed out the people that aren't qualified to be ICE agents. If they're not passing these tests, they don't get the pass and become agents. That's plain and simple. That's how you weed out the best from not so best in so many kind words.
If you are housing or living with somebody in MS-13 or a gang member, it is very possible that you could get swept up in that. That is just a reality.
Listen, the vast majority of the people who have been detained do not have criminal records. 75%.
If you're living with a gang member, you gotta know that's a possibility.
That's not the people that were scooped up in this residential building in the middle of the night. You're just making things up. You're making things up.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are living with someone that's illegal and the ICE comes in and they raid it and they actually detain that person, find out that person's illegal, they will check you too to make sure. Who's to say you're not illegal? They have to do their job. It's just like when police officers do raids. If they're doing a raid for drugs and there's drugs in the house, everyone's getting tied up. Everyone's going to have handcuffs on them. And then they're going to question them, detain them, and they go from there. It's a safety issue for everyone involved. Jeez.
Most of the people that have been detained do not have any criminal records or ties to gangs.
I'm sure you can find an example or two of this, but we also know the situations for a lot of these 170 Americans. And some of them were just happened to be in the same location as other people who might have been targeted by ICE and were still scooped up.
The teenage black boy I was referring to was in a CVS.
To Anna Navarro's point, that apartment building that they raided a couple of weeks ago that housed, frankly, mostly Americans, they only identified 2 alleged Tren de Aragua members. The rest of the people who were arrested, including American citizens, they're not gang members. So that's also happening.
Okay.
One, you're not arrested, it's detained. You get arrested if you're found that you do have something on you or you're a legal immigrant. Secondly, watch how Abby continuously cuts off the conservative people on the panel. She does it often and often and often.
But I was
And
asking you about the
yes.
standards because the issue at hand here is that the standards are not being met, and B, in some cases, are being slightly lowered to allow more people to get through this process because they have to meet a quota. And when you're talking about law enforcement, is that really what we should be doing?
No, absolutely not. And unfortunately, this is not really an ICE problem. This is a problem across the board. I think as many as 80% of police officers are overweight. And so we've seen standards just decrease across the board. Now, my understanding is that they aren't decreasing the standards. They're just saying that a lot of people are failing.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay, right? They have a lot of people who are interested in joining.
Yeah.
Not all of them are going to meet the criteria. And
See, this isn't DEI. Okay. If you don't meet the standard, you can't be hired. You can't work the job. This is not the Biden administration. So they should actually be happy that they're just not pushing them through when they don't qualify. See, if this was the Biden administration, these people will be ICE agents, even though they don't qualify and they're not passing these tests.
that's the reality.
A lot of people are joining because a lot of people need jobs. A lot of people are failing because we don't teach civic in schools, and that's a problem. And
They're offering $50,000 bonuses.
a lot of people are taking the job because there's student loan forgiveness. And I hope they don't lower the standard, because the last I checked, it was the DEI candidates that needed the standard lowered. But now it seems like the people who want to work for ICE might get their standards. Let's just see how this all plays out.
That's not what's happening.
What is she saying? No one said that this is going to be. Oh my God! No one said that the standards are lowered. They're actually reporting, hey, people are failing. They're not up to par. All right, let's bring in more applicants.
They're failing. The system is working. They have fitness standards. They have standards for civics.
Tell them,
If
Scott.
you fail the standards, you don't get in. So the story is that you have a system in place designed to weed people out who shouldn't be in, and it's working. That's a good thing.
I will say this. So here's
They're
what we
so mad.
know, at least for now.
How mad she looks.
In February, the requirements were this: 32 sit-ups in a minute or less, 22 push-ups in a minute or less, 220-yard sprint, 1.5 mile run. Now, the standard is 15 push-ups as opposed to 22. So it's still 32 sit-ups, 1.5 miles, in slightly less time than before. So there's been a slight adjustment. Who knows why? You need to do 7 fewer push-ups than before, but
So the standards were lowered.
You still have to meet an athletic standard, and you
appears
still
to
have to
be
meet
the
a
case.
civic
So they lowered the
standard.
standard.
Standard's still declining.
I also
Standard's
think,
still
I mean,
declining.
to
But it's
me,
not just-
also the civics part is huge, because knowing
Right.
people's rights in
You
this
need to
country
know the
is
laws.
part of what you need
That's
to
what
know
they're
if you're gonna
failing.
be violating them potentially as a law enforcement officer, or at least you have the power to do that.
But there was another claim tucked into that report, which is the people themselves are misrepresenting themselves. Say they're lying. See, that's a decline of standards.
What is he
too. It's
talking
a matter
about?
of character. It's a matter of soul craft.
What's this? Does he think he's the Black Albert Einstein? What's wrong with this dude? He's so weird. He's just out there. Look at Scott's face.
So it's not just you got to decline of standards across the board. And too often you want to scapegoat the most vulnerable. It must be the black folk and brown folk responsible for the decline of standards. No, get off the crack pipe. That's not true at all. What's really true is the decline of standards across the board, and people acting as if they're so athletically on the cutting edge. And when it's time to take the test, they can't pass
And
it.
if you lie
Just
on your
today-
application, perhaps you lie.
What does that have to do with anything that they're talking about? What? Why do they have him on the
Yesterday, there was
panel?
an ICE police officer whose weapon
Sometimes I
was
think he's
charged
high or something.
and injured a U.S. Marshal and the suspect because they were using the service weapon to bang on the window of a suspect. I mean, I don't
That
know.
was
I mean,
already.
these are the types of
That's
things
false.
that
That's
just
been
seem like-
debunked.
Is there proper training happening here when it comes to ICE?
There's not. We've all seen it. And there should be.
You definitively state that they're not being properly trained. Do you know that?
They're shooting dogs. They're shooting dogs in people's that have been
What?
locked in people's bathrooms. They're abandoning
What?
small children alone in
False.
cars while they. No, it's not false. Look,
What is wrong with Anna Navarro? I didn't see any reports about babies being left alone in cars and shooting dogs. What the hell is she talking about? What? I don't know how this woman gets on the panel.
Look it up. Don't just say false. I actually,
Abandoning small children. They
yes,
turn
they,
the
they,
children over to HHS.
there were
Is that
actually
What?
small children abandoned in a highway in a
You
car
have these
in
vague
Cicero,
anecdotes,
Illinois.
and you make these sweeping
how much
statements
more
that they're not
specific
training.
would you like me
they're
to
not
get
training ICE.
with,
Of course
with
they go through
examples of
training.
what is
I'm
happening?
sorry,
Of
she's
course they're
dumb.
training them.
Well, they're training them, then they're not learning the stuff. They're definitely violating human rights, Scott.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, well,
Well, look, Scott,
my
she had a
God.
specific example. It sounds like you were unfamiliar with it.
I'm not aware of her example. Here's what I know.
Okay, so
Under
you don't-
It's funny because Abby don't even know what she's talking about. No one on the panel knows what the hell she's talking about. Anna just says anything. It's like she has schizophrenia. She just says anything, like whatever. Oh,
Joe
know
Biden,
whether-
under Joe Biden, they didn't enforce federal immigration law. Now we do. We're having hundreds
Well,
of thousands of
my
interactions.
point is that you
Things
just
will
said,
happen, but she said they are not
I know, but
training
you-
them.
but
She
no,
said
but
they're not
she-
training
she-
do
them.
you think that
she
do you
said
think
that
that
she was
trained
prepared.
do you think that trained
she was saying a
ICE
specific
agents
example,
would,
and
No,
you said it
her
was
first
false.
statement
US
was,
citizens?
Don't.
She said,
you just
quote, they're not
acknowledged
training
that.
them.
You just
We all
acknowledged that
see
you
it.
don't know what she was
do you
referring
think
to.
I
So
don't.
why
I
you
do not
just
know
note
what she's
that?
talking
scooping
about.
up
Yeah.
US
I don't think
citizens
Jesus
without
Christ knows
giving
what
them-
she
I
was
disagree
talking
with the
about.
generalization that they're scooping up U.S.
There's
citizens.
170 that have been
Well, there's
scooped
over
up.
a 500,000 illegal aliens that have been
There's
deported.
little children that have been
1.6
scooped
million
up
have
that are U.S.
self-deported.
citizens.
All right, look.
There is
I know you
video.
don't want the law
There
enforced.
is
I get it.
video
You
of
don't have to
black
yell at me.
kids.
You don't want the law
All right,
enforced.
look.
I
I'm yelling
understand.
too.
Listen, look, it is true.
Guess what?
that
Oh,
United
Black
States
people, black and
citizens
white people can yell.
have been detained by
What?
ICE without.
Detained and released.
Yeah,
Released.
but
Released.
whether you're detained
After
and released
hours or
after
days of
hours or
being
days,
held?
your rights may still be violated, and that's still an issue that people.
Ladies and gentlemen, these people don't get it. If you are around people who are doing illegal activity, yes, you will be detained too. Officers, ICE agents, they don't know if you're involved or not involved. So the best thing that they can do for their safety is detain you. You're not going to get arrested if you're not doing anything wrong. Plain and simple. Scott Jennings, I don't know how he does this day in and day out. Let me know what you guys think. Hit the like for the algorithm, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I see you when I see you. Thank you for watching.